Salarah Starre is a UK-based advanced law of attraction teacher trainer, coach, public speaker, and leading wellness expert. She will share life-changing wisdom about the law of attraction and how you can use this powerful universal law to build a foundation for bigger and bolder manifesting results. It is time to create the life you deserve, and with Salarah's help, you will.
How on earth can you create the life of your dreams when you feel completely overwhelmed, your schedule is chock-a-block, and you feel like you're barely treading water in your everyday life, let alone being able to carve out some time for you and for your manifesting practice? I am Salarah Starre, your manifestation and mindset mentor, and I'm here to help you navigate through the feelings of chaos and overwhelm so that you can create clarity and the feeling and sense of calm that you want and need for strong, solid foundations in your manifesting practice. And today's conversation is well worth taking the time out of your schedule to embrace. So just the fact that you're here is telling your subconscious mind that you're ready to make a change. And that can be just a 1% shift can effectuate such mammoth change in your life. And when it comes to manifesting and creating the life that your heart yearns for, of course, there needs to be space for us to take the time out to connect with our heart and to put pen to paper and dream a new dream, to set strong and powerful intentions that aren't just quickly written down because we've got a spare 5 minutes and we've kind of promised ourselves we'll do it. So it's more of a tick box exercise, but time to really feel into becoming that conscious creator and designing your life the way that you want it to be. And of course, in order to get this beautiful spaciousness that we need to be able to explore our own internal landscape, we can only really get to that point when we feel calm internally and our external environment feels calm and orderly, or even just a little bit more orderly than what it is right now, and clear, or at least just a little bit clearer than what it is right now. And what all of this does is it has such a massive impact on so many levels and layers of our being, which we're going to be exploring in our time today. And what this also does is helps us to connect to our intuition. It enhances our out of the box type thinking. We can really dream big, and not just stuff that is kind of survival manifesting, but this is like big dream conversation. So this really does optimize the dream building when we are in an environment that feels calmer and orderly and more relaxed. So thank you for taking the time to join me today in this conversation on transforming your life from a feeling of chaos to clarity. And you may very well feel called to share this with somebody. As somebody comes to mind throughout this podcast, then just hit the share button. I know a few of you have been doing that, and I'm ever so grateful because I know that this information lands to you and to anybody you share it with at exactly the right time, and it can bring about so much hope and feelings of being supported, and that there's another way of doing things and inspiration. So we're going to be exploring I guess the only word I can find for it really is profound impact that disorganization can have on our mind, emotions, our physical well-being. And that word disorganization, it shows up in many forms. It's not just having an untidy drawer and a diary where you're all over the place. It's much more than that. And we're also going to touch on how understanding all of this and then taking small positive steps to align your energy, it can absolutely lead to way more successful manifestations. And we're going to be looking at how the law of attraction plays into all of this as well. So this whole episode is inspired by an upcoming masterclass I've got on the 24th of September at 7 p.m. UK time. There is a link in the show notes, so take a look. I'd love for you to join me. And this is going to give you a taste, like I said, of what to expect and help you to get your life from chaos to a feeling of calm and clarity. And we're going to dive so much deeper into all these different topics. And I've got a whole host of very simple, practical tools that you can reclaim the order in your life so that you can feel a sense of achievement. Your confidence will naturally build as a result of feeling that sense of achievement. And the whole of your energy is going to completely recalibrate itself, which means your manifestations will be even more successful. So let's take a moment to understand the physical, emotional, and mental impacts that our environments and the feeling of disorganization can bring. When our environment is, let's just say it's cluttered, and it doesn't necessarily need to be physically cluttered. It's cluttered with appointments and literally moving from one thing to another without any opportunity to breathe. Our minds become cluttered as well. So what happens is we experience, it's almost like a cognitive overload. We kind of feel utterly saturated. It's almost like a sponge that cannot take in any more water. That's how we become overloaded because we are constantly having to firefight to try and process the chaos around us or the feelings of chaos. And of course, that just leads to distractions, and any feelings of overwhelm will then also lead to decreased productivity. And it's like trying to work in the middle of a storm. Everything just feels chaotic, and it's hard to focus on one task at a time. Because when we see a mess with our physical eyes, it creates a form of mental friction, a form of mental stress. And I keep using the word over and over because it shows up time and time again. It's a feeling of overwhelm, making it so difficult to get anything done, to concentrate, to stay on track. And it can also feel like the tasks are so big and so mammoth that we don't really know where to start. But we notice as well that the feelings never really get any better. We might have a few moments of respite from them, but all in all, we generally tend to feel that most days of our lives. And of course, that means that our goals continuously go on the back burner. We're constantly making excuses, and we're so saturated, like I said, with the daily responsibilities that are completely disorderly. And the emotional impact of that cannot be underestimated. Now, if we think about the law of attraction and how the law of attraction works on emotions, so it's feelings first, manifestation second. All these feelings I've already discussed are all very heavy vibrations. And how on earth are we meant to climb the vibrational ladder and vibrate on a high frequency when everything in our environment is constantly bringing us down? So, of course, when we are in a state of disorganization, and sometimes it's not necessarily through any fault of our own, sometimes it is, sometimes we've navigated through some real stresses and we might be the most organized person in the world. And then we're kind of struck down with a massive curveball, whether it's, the loss of a loved one or moving house or divorce. And, it's common to feel overwhelm and even anxiety in ordinary life, let alone when we are then hit with these further curveballs. So it is, of course, taking it easy on ourselves in many respects too, but that's another conversation I can come back to in another podcast. But if we're talking about ordinary, everyday firefighting, so the kind of endless piles of laundry, even those unopened emails, even if you've got kids, homework that needs to be done. You notice the gardening needs doing, and everywhere you look, it just feels like there's so much to do all the time. And of course, it leads to feelings of being out of control And it just adds to the overwhelm even more. And that just feeds a continuous loop. It creates frustration. It creates guilt. We're constantly feeling like we're falling behind, or failing as well. And over time, it can significantly then impact our self-esteem. So if you think about it, we're having a conversation on a manifesting podcast, feelings first, manifestation second, as Andy Dooley says. Our emotions and our feelings have a massive impact on our creations and what we attract to us and what we repel from us. And of course, when we begin to feel inadequate because we're not actually getting the things done that we want to get done, we compare ourselves to others too. And it's easy then as well to look at other people and, it seems like they have it all together. And then it creates another negative feedback loop, where our cluttered environment, our constant firefighting, it just feeds negative emotions even more. And it makes it harder then to address these situations, the clutter or the lack of organization and structure in our everyday life, which is needed for us to build our dreams. And then with all of that, we've got the physical impact. Many times you just feel utterly fatigued. You might even, notice physical discomfort. I don't know about you, but the times that I've felt like this, I've tripped over items. I've struggled to find what I've needed. And, then I just get more and more frustrated and feeling even more overwhelmed and then too overwhelmed to clean and maintain. And I can't maintain a healthy lifestyle as a result of it. So my eating then starts to struggle and suffer. I start just snacking on things and, picking on things that my body doesn't really like, and it doesn't really make me feel energized and healthy and well, and then because of that, because we're feeling tired, we then don't have the energy for self-care or activities like workout or gym or going for the walk. And oh my word. So I think I've created enough of a picture now. And this is all from our environment. All those feelings is from our environment. Studies have shown that, disorganization, it can lead to so many things, as already mentioned, unhealthy eating habits, which further impacts our physical health, but then also like a domino effect on every other area of our life. So you may be organized in one area, but you may have a pile of paperwork building up in another. There might be an area of your life that's too overwhelming or stressful to look at. So it's easier just to ignore it and pretend that it's not there. But this is really important that we understand energy. So as we dive into the concept of energy, already alluding to it, of course, with feelings first, manifestation second, conversation, many people think, well, what does energy have to do with my messy desk? Well, it's actually quite a lot. Scattered energy is one of the biggest obstacles to achieving our goals. And scattered energy is not necessarily just a messy desk. It's not focusing on one item and getting it done. It's having 5 or 6 things on the go, diluting everything and not really feeling like we're making headway in anything. That is also disorganization. So when our mind is disorganized, as well as our physical, of course, our energy then starts to become fragmented. And it is like trying to pour water into 3 different cups at the same time. None of them are going to get filled up effectively. And this can lead to scattered manifestations. So in other words, our goals and our desires, they just become as chaotic as our environment. And of course, our environment is quite often a mirror of what is going on inside of us. And what is going on inside of us is often mirrored in our environment. So our environment also will tell us a lot about where we are mentally and emotionally. So when we do start to align our energy through things like having a more organized living arrangement, life, more structure, which is an ongoing and transformative process, by the way. And it doesn't have to be one that is hard and heavy. It can actually be really easy, and it can also be fun and enjoyable, as long as it's done in bite-sized chunks and you don't try and do everything at once. When you take steps to organize your space, you are absolutely aligning your energy to be way more focused and so laser directed. And this helps you manifest your desires way more effectively. But like I said, it helps you to think out of the box. So not only do you dream a dream, but you can dream a big dream, and you actually have space to take the action to bring it into fruition, because your schedule is organized enough that you have actually allocated space for you to focus on building your dreams. You're going to be so much more effective. So you can also think of it a bit like tuning a radio. You know, station isn't set properly. All you get is that awful, horrendous sound of static. I don't know about you, but I can never wait to turn the radio off when I get that static, or quickly try and find a new station. And then we find when it is tuned correctly, you'll absolutely get a clear signal. So the information I'm going to share with you today will absolutely help. But if this is something that's really on point for you, as I mentioned, look in the show notes. There is a link to Chaos to Clarity. It's a 90-minute masterclass designed specifically to help you align your energy so your manifestations come in clear and strong. So the law of attraction is, of course, the idea that like energy attracts like energy. So essentially, the energy that you're putting out into the world is what is then going to come back to you. If your environment is chaotic, what are you going to be attracting back to you? More chaos. And it can also then be difficult to attract positive experiences, meet new people that can help you to connect with new opportunities. It really can be so destructive when we don't have order. And order does present itself in many different forms. To put it simply, the mess in your space, or the erraticness of your schedule, if erraticness is a word, it's all going to impact it. This can create a mess in your mind, which then disrupts the energy that you need to attract the things that you want to create in your life. So, of course, when we start to get more organized in our environment, we then start to support the flow of energy rather than work against it. So instead of it being fragmented, it now flows easily and effortlessly. So when your mind feels clear and orderly, when your environment feels clean, clear, and orderly, it's so much easier to maintain a positive mindset. And then you can focus on what it is that you want to attract. Highlight the word want to attract there. Because when we are in a chaotic environment, all we generally tend to think about is what we don't want, and how hard things are, and how difficult it is, and all the things we don't want to do. So it's much like gardening, and I allude to this quite a lot in my courses and my workshops. You do have to clear out the weeds to give your plants the space they need to grow. And some weeds have grown so big that they even block out the sunlight. And this is when action needs to be taken, practical steps, in order to help you get organized physically, emotionally, mentally, so that you can support and align your energy to attract what you want to attract into your life. And even the smallest of change can lead to big, big shifts in your energy. So remember, disorganization impacts us on multiple levels, psychologically, emotionally, and physically. If your manifestations aren't happening, they're taking longer than you would like, or you're getting the opposite of what you want, you may find, if this is speaking to you and you're even drawn to the title of this podcast, then it may be worth looking at what is going on in your everyday schedules when it comes to your home, to your work, to your well-being, to your, I was going to say creating your dreams, but it's similar to well-being, to your manifestation practice, having time for you, having time for the family. And when we are all over the place, I used to call myself like an oh shit person, excuse the swearing, but basically it was just constantly like, oh shit, I forgot to do this, or oh shit, I forgot to do that, or oh shit, I've double booked this. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I just feel like I'm just an oh shit person, just constantly moving from one thing to another and not actually making any headway. And my nervous system was just stressed and uptight as a result of it. And, you know, our nervous system actually plays a pivotal role in our manifesting, because if we are activating the stress response and we've got cortisol, adrenaline, lactate flooding our system, our energy is going to be constricted. And with a constricted energy field, we're not going to be open and receptive to new ideas, to new opportunities. And this overload can diminish our focus, our productivity. It just has a negative impact on every single area of our life, as we've already mentioned. And those feelings of overwhelm and anxiety and guilt and decreased self-esteem, they all vibrate on the lower rungs of the vibrational ladder. And the desires that you want to create vibrate on the higher rungs of the emotional ladder. And that means it's our responsibility to take action, to work our way up and raise our vibration by looking at the parts of our life that are not working and that are holding us back. So the significance of energy alignment is a huge topic. So we want to create conditions for better manifestations. And the law of attraction, of course, supports this by reinforcing that an orderly environment creates a more positive and powerful mindset. We just generally tend to feel more in control, and that's a good thing. Like, you know, being in control is very different to controlling, and we do want to be in control to a certain extent. So remember, if you want to dive deeper, you want practical steps into these topics, I would love for you to join me on Wednesday evening, Wednesday the 24th of September. This is your journey. I'm just going to double check the date on that, actually. It's going to be, I'm sure it is. I'm just going to look on my little calendar now, as I don't know, for some reason, yes, 25th. Did I say 25th? It's the 25th of September. I think it's the 24th. 25th. And if you've missed this because you're listening to this podcast a lot later on down the line, I will have it available to purchase. So just contact me, Salarah at salarahstarre.com. And I'm going to compile, I've already started to compile it actually, worksheets that are going to support your journey. I don't know if you like me, but I do like to have a little bit of a worksheet and a tick box. It helps to just create that order and that structure in my mind. So I look forward to seeing you if you've already signed up to that. And like I said, share this with anybody that you feel may benefit from this. And if you would like any further details on courses or workshops, of course, there's a couple of avenues you can go. You can join me in my Facebook group, Become a Master Manifester. I will always advertise in there, or alternatively sign up to my newsletter at salarahstarre.com. And I will put as much information as I can in the show notes, but I'd love to hear your feedback on this, like which parts you resonated with, and if there's any other topics that you would like me to cover. I love feedback. I love questions. So if there's anything further that I can do, then please let me know, because I will put a show together especially for you. All right, take care. Lots of love. Bye for now.
Enjoying the podcast? To help Manifesting Made Easy keep going and expand, consider making a small donation. Simply click the link in the show notes. Every contribution makes a big difference. Thank you for your continued support.
Thanks for listening. Salarah Starre will be back next week with great insights into the law of attraction. In the meantime, please visit salarahstarre.com.